Alrighty, class, take out your social studies books. We are actually going to start a brand new unit today on the American Revolution. This unit is so important to learn because it's how our country came to be. We were not always the United States of America. So we're going to learn about what led the colonists to declare independence against Great Britain. We're going to go through the different battles in the war and the strategies and how the Patriots won the war. And then we're going to get into how our government was created. It's the same government that we use to this day. So obviously it's a well-made government if we're still using it. And many other countries have followed suit in creating a government very similar to ours. So it's important that we learn about all these concepts so we can better understand our history and maybe understand the reasonings for why people do things today, such as our government. And you're going to hear different concepts and different vocabulary words in your everyday lives that have to do with the American Revolution, such as the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, right? Those are some pretty specific examples of words you're going to hear a lot. So it's really important that we understand these concepts and terms because you're going to hear them all the time. You're going to read about them. You're going to hear them in movies, okay? So before we dive into this first chapter, I want to go through the vocabulary words, okay? It's important that we understand these words because they're important to the topic of American Revolution, but also you're going to hear these in conversations that aren't about the American Revolution, okay? You're going to hear this in your everyday life, and so it's important to understand these words so you know what someone else is talking about. Okay, so our first word is tariff. Tariff, say it with me. Tariff. Okay, a tariff is a tax that's placed on imported or exported goods. Okay, so it's extra money added to the goods that we are either sending out or accepting from other countries. Okay, so let's say a grocery store in Nebraska wants avocados from Mexico, right? That little jingle avocados from Mexico. So let's say we're getting them from Mexico. There is going to be a tariff on that good because it's coming from another country and being imported into the United States. Okay? Now let's say we have a toy that a little girl in Europe really wants and she buys it online. There's going to be potentially a tariff on that good because it's being exported to a different country, okay? So a tariff is a tax or that extra money that's added to goods that are being exported or imported into the United States of America. I'm sure you've heard of the word tax, okay? I know your parents know what taxes are. You might have heard of sales tax. It's the same concept. It's money being added to the total, okay? Or your parents might have paid property taxes, okay? So there's lots of different taxes, but the idea is that it's like an added total to that good, okay? The next word is boycott. Boycott, say it with me, boycott. It's kind of a different word. I'm guessing you've maybe heard this word if you've ever read about or maybe watched a movie on the civil rights movement, which is down the line. You got to learn about the American Revolution first, and then you'll eventually learn about the civil rights movement. But a boycott is when you refuse to give your money to something or refuse to give them your service. For example, let's say I get my hair done at a salon and she gives me a really bad haircut, and I ask for my money back. And she says, nope, you're not getting your money back. I'm not fixing it. You don't like what I did? I'm not helping it. Okay, so I might boycott that business and say she's an awful hairdresser. Do not go to her. And I'm going to refuse to give her my money ever again. And I'm going to refuse to give her my service, the service of cutting my hair in order to make money. Okay, So I might boycott. I might try to get other people to boycott with me because she did an awful job and refused to help me in any way to fix it, okay? So that's how you boycott something. Many people boycott businesses if they have different beliefs than them. But an example maybe of something that's not a boycott is maybe you go to a restaurant and you just didn't quite like the food and you're just feeling kind of meh about it. You might not go there again in maybe a really long time, or it's not on your radar, but that's not necessarily boycotting, right? You still gave them your money, you gave them the service of feeding you, but you're just not going to go back there again. But it's not necessarily boycotting. You're not refusing to ever go back. You're just, wasn't my favorite place. That's not it. You're kind of accepting that it was not the greatest food, and then you're going to go on with your life, okay? But boycotting is when you refuse to ever go back to a place, when you refuse to buy a product made by a certain company, okay? And you usually have a reason for refusing that service or giving them your money, okay? So it's kind of a tricky word, but you're going to hear it in this chapter, and you're going to hear it throughout your life because people boycott things all the time, okay? It happens a lot. And so now you're familiar with that word. And I just want to make clear too that it doesn't necessarily have to be a hair salon, a restaurant. You can boycott a church or a group of people or a organization because they either treated you poorly or they don't hold the same beliefs as you, and you think that's wrong, and so you refuse, and you oftentimes try to get other people to boycott with you. Okay, our last word is patriot. Say it with me. Patriot. Who knows what a patriot is? It's technically a football team. The Patriots, in Boston, right? So New England, I guess I should say. So a patriot is someone who loves and defends their country. So if I sign up for the military and there's a war going on, and let's say I go and fight, am I a patriot? Right, because I love and defend my country enough to fight for our freedoms. That is why a lot of military people are called patriots, but you can be a patriot too in your own country if you love and defend your country no matter what. Okay? So what about if there's a senator? Okay, so a higher up official in our government, okay? And let's say he goes over to another country, let's say it's in Europe, and he's telling one of their officials some really bad things about America, and he's telling them secrets about things maybe we're planning. Maybe he's telling them about what weapons we have. Is that being a patriot? No, right? That is not defending your country, and that's not loving your country when you are sharing those types of things with other people. Okay, so someone who loves and defends their country. Okay, no country is absolutely perfect. Okay, America's not perfect, but someone who loves America is going to defend them and love the country no matter what. Okay, so that is an example of a patriot. Okay, so those are the vocabulary words for this chapter. We will hear about these vocabulary words in context with the American Revolution, okay? So I gave you some examples of what these words mean out of context, and then we will read through the chapter and you will see what they mean in context. Okay, so those were the vocabulary words. We will get started, and every day we're going to have some new vocabulary words, okay? So it's a big chapter, big unit. So let's get started.